I just ended up watching the documentary surrounding sort of City and Pep between the 24-25 and the 25-26 season. And boy, oh boy, was it some watch. First and foremost, Kyle Walker. Let me give some thoughts, obviously. Kyle Walker, I will never forgive you for leaving in that period of time when you were the captain of the club. Arguing with Pep in the locker room after him calling you out on certain things that you were doing wrong and just dipping the first second you got in a tough time. Pep expressing to everyone that he was getting divorced. Bro, there was so much stuff Pep was sharing. The Leverkusen defeat. Low-key on Pep because he made 10 changes. I was getting emotional throughout episode 4 because it was obviously when he told everyone he was leaving. The certain locker rooms in certain games where they were just so connected and together. Whether it was Arsenal in the Carabao Cup pregame, him being so emotionally invested. Halftime, when he banged the TV and basically showed them yo, I'm gonna switch it up. And one thing people don't know about the Pep and the Arsenal Carabao Cup game, he switched his tactics the day before. So you see in the infamous 4-2-4 press where we were pressing them, they really didn't know what to do. That was because Pep changed his tactics the day before. Incredible. But the 24-25 season was obviously rough. 1 win in 13, Pep scratching his face, him going through sort of marriage sort of issues then and there. The squad was just old. Low-key Pep was somewhat to blame because he didn't want to rebuild at the end of the day. He wanted to stick with the old guard and it was just all over the place. De Bruyne. De Bruyne crying genuinely had me like this, bro. Bro, that is the goal, the greatest to ever do it. And when you see him crying and him saying, I don't want my kids to leave, he was just basically told, you're not going to get extension, bro. There's so many stuff happened in this documentary. The rise of sort of Nico O'Reilly in the Carabao Cup. The sort of happiness and joy that came out of post-Arsenal win at the Etihad in the league, obviously. Bro, when we beat them, I genuinely thought we were going to go on and do it and win the Premier League. But everything obviously didn't pan out the way that we thought it was going to. But yeah, man. This documentary of the 24-25 and the 25-26 season is an amazing watch. If I would, you personally, if you're not even a City fan, I would genuinely just watch this for the sort of locker room scenes in certain moments of time. It gets intense. Let's just say that the most. Certain guys being held accountability. Haaland deservingly being the next captain of this club, or Diaz for the time being, obviously. But Haaland genuinely would die for this badge. I'm not even trolling. This guy is a Manchester City fan through and through, obviously since he was young, but the way some of the times he was speaking in this locker room and sort of getting the guys riled up together was incredible. And yeah, man, that last episode, genuinely, it got me a tad bit emotional, but yeah, an amazing watch. Genuinely, give it a try.
Okay, so have you seen this clip of Pep Guardiola basically having a complete meltdown in the dressing room at his Man City players? Basically, out of nowhere, he turns to them and goes, guys, I want to confess something. I am divorced from the most beautiful woman on the planet. All the players are staring at him, trying to work out what relevance this has got to the game. And he says, we still love each other, but we lost the passion. And then this is the bit I find fascinating, because within seconds, he turns this rant back to football, because he's screaming at them about all this sacrifice he's made in his personal life to be there fighting with them. And he says, how do you want to play football? To play or for something inside? And he says, I don't want good players, I want players with passion. And all of this has kind of got me thinking, because we talk all the time about everything that it takes to be as successful as someone like Pep Guardiola, but what it's got me thinking is, how much does that level of success take from you? Because Pep Guardiola ain't just a successful manager, he is one of the most successful of all time. Barcelona, Bayern, Man City, Champions League, 6 Premier League titles with City, the treble, even though it's not a real one, that only belongs to United, of course. But he has done this all with a famously obsessive relationship with football. And there's this old quote from Pep Guardiola that I think just hits differently after watching some of the clips from this Amazon documentary. Back in 2018, he was talking about how demanding being a football manager is, and he said, only at home do I feel safe. Home being the place where I wasn't constantly observed, constantly scrutinized. And then he said, I cannot be alone in this kind of job without my family. And then a year later, his wife, Christina, she moves back to Barcelona with their youngest daughter while Pep stays in Manchester. And they carry on doing a long distance marriage for years when Pep is really at his peak. But then fast forward to 2024, when City are about to hit one of their worst runs, apparently the players could just tell that something was wrong. They thought he seemed nervous, sad and different. And so this is the point here where he goes into the dressing room and does something he's never done before, opens up about his personal life, tells his players that he's getting divorced, and obviously none of us can know from the outside what was going on in his mind, what's going on in his personal life, but I think there is something fascinating about watching a man take one of the most painful personal things that's going on in his life and almost instinctively process it through that lens of football. Because I am a massive football fan and we all want our players, our managers to have that obsession, because that is what we are told produces greatness. We call people like Pep Guardiola geniuses. We celebrate that intensity, the sacrifice, thinking about football 24/7, that old phrase, die for the shirt, never being satisfied, because we get to enjoy what it produces. But eventually Pep decided to stop, and it's really interesting to hear in this documentary what his reasons were for that. Because to quote him, he said he needed to refresh things in his personal life and that he needed to find himself again. And then he used this Catalan word, which I absolutely love. Now dug into a little bit, obviously I don't speak Catalan, but he used this word called badar, which basically, there isn't a full English translation for it, but it essentially means doing nothing. Doing sweet FA, looking around, letting your mind wander, watching time go by. And there's something, I think, I don't know, quite poetic, quite profound about one of the most relentlessly driven people that we've ever seen in football, who revolutionised the game, saying, actually, do you know what? I actually need to learn how to actually do nothing, how to just be. It's got me thinking really about all of us that live in this era of relentless productivity, striving for more, pushing these boundaries, striving for greatness. How many of us tell ourselves that we'll relax after this project, we'll spend more time with the people that matter after this thing calms down, after we've achieved this next thing, just one more push. But what really is the cost of that? So let me know your thoughts. What do you think of some of these insights about Pep Guardiola in this new Amazon documentary? Do you think it says something about sacrifice, like how much of our life is actually worth sacrificing to reach greatness? And also, what does it tell us about football managers and players? Do we ask too much of them, or is this the price of operating at the very top?
Man City have made a Pep Guardiola documentary, and no amount of money on earth would make me watch it in the next 12 months. This is like your missus of 10 years breaking up with you, then forcing you to sit on the sofa and relive all the best and worst moments of your relationship, all while knowing that your new partner will never be as good as them and you'll never love them as much. I don't want to see Kevin cry, I don't want to see Walker fall out in love with the club, and I definitely don't want to be seeing the treble winning season when we're going into our David Moyes era. No thank you, I'll watch it next year. Follow for daily City content.
The greatest football documentary ever is about to be released, and so far it's looking like an absolute banger. A Beautiful Obsession, released on Amazon Prime on August 19th, is detailing the last 2 years of Pep Guardiola's reign at Manchester City, both the good and the bad elements. And some of the stuff that's been leaked so far by reporters looks absolutely insane. You've got passionate team talks, Pep Guardiola and Kyle Walker having a bust up, legends leaving the club because of their contract situation, Guardiola announcing to the squad that he is set to leave Manchester City, and so much more. I am personally so excited for this documentary, even if it means reliving the heartbreak of losing Guardiola. But I think the insight this documentary is going to give us is going to be so good, and better than any other documentary out there.
I don't know if I'm going to cope watching this new documentary that's coming out, because every other documentary we've had has been all sunshine and rainbows, and all of a sudden now we're seeing these things coming out about the documentary on Wednesday. We've got the reveal of what happened when we lost to Juventus, with Pep struggling with the divorce of his wife and how that affected him emotionally and how that reflected on the players. We have a bit in the documentary about De Bruyne breaking down crying because we told him we didn't want to renew his contract, and we have a massive fight between Pep and Kyle and all the fallout that came from that when Walker left. This is going to be the most depressing documentary ever. I mean, I can't wait to watch it, but Jeez, this feels like this ain't no documentary we've seen before. This is real. Oh my word.
Amazon ayaa soo deysay documentary-ga cusub ee behind the scene Manchester City iyo waayihii Pep Guardiola. hadallada cajiibka ahaa ee documentary-gaas uu ku sheegay Pep Guardiola waxa kamid ah inuu dhahay aniga reerkayga adinka dartiina ayaa ku waayay adinkan wuxuu dhahay bandhigan xun ayaa awalmarin iga dhigteen wuxuu dhahay aniga nolol kale malihi adinka idin shaqeeya adinkana go'aamadeeda inaa wax ka sheegtaan ayaa isku dayaysiin haddii aan arko qof aniga go'aamadeeda wax ka sheego waa idin dilaa wuxuu hadalladaas ku hadlay ciyaar kamid ah ciyaartii aan la dheelaynay Champions League naadiga Bayer Leverkusen kuwaas oo inaga badiyay 2-0 waxa waaye ciyaartii Champions League hadda xasuustaan Bayer Leverkusen 2-0 nooga badinaysay November December inay heeda rajayna waqtigaas ayuu ku hadlay hadalladaas Pep Guardiola sidoo kale wuxuu dhahay waxa furay gabadha ugu quruxda badan dunida idinka aan ku nooshihiin iyada waa i jecleed ama iyada waa jeclaa oo labadeennaba waa is jecleen laakiin wuxuu dhahay ma jirin wax dareen ah waxa luminay dareenkeena we lost our passion of liya dareenkeena ayaa luminay wuxuuna idin leeyahay xataa idinka maadaama aad jeceshihiin kubadan cagta waxa idinkaga baahanahay dareenkiina oo dhan inaad kubadan gelisiin oo ma u baahni u leeyahay ciyaartooy fiican good players ma u baahni waxa u baahanahay players kuwaasoo ku dheelaya passion yani dareen ku dheelaya xamaasad ku dheelaya waa hadalladii iyo documentary-ga ee soo diyaarisay Amazon oo wixii ka dhacay qolka labiska waa intaas in ka mid ah wixii soo baxay waay asxaabta idinka video soo gaaray koobling badan oo taabta inaa follow na soo dhaadin ha ilaawin peace and love guys